Hello, welcome back to goldstocktrades.com. This is Jeb Handwerger, and today we're here with Jim McKenzie, CEO of Ucore Rare Metals. Ucore can be traded as UCU on the TSX Venture, and it also can be traded on the OTC as UURAF. Thanks, Jim, for being here with us today.
My pleasure, Jeb.
Jim, last time we spoke, we talked about Ken Collison coming on board, an experienced mine engineer. Can you update us on his activities since he has taken accountability for mine development at Bocan? And more specifically, can you give us an update on the upcoming PEA?
Yeah, well, since Ken has stepped into the zone, he hasn't skipped a beat. Frankly, he's one of the most efficient guys that I've ever met when it comes to getting things done. And, not to turn him into a legend, but I kind of liken him to Clint Eastwood in a way, because he's a man of few words, but geez, he gets a lot of stuff done very quickly, and he just sort of cuts to the chase. And so, if a mine engineer is like a director, and he can film a script more quickly than anybody else and move ahead more quickly. So he's just got a really efficient way about him. But in any event, what he's done is he stepped it into overdrive in terms of developing the various components that move us towards a PEA. And I'll give you a flavor for what some of those things are. First of which is we're working on an underground mine scoping study. And effectively, he's gone to a company by the name of Stantec. Stantec is one of the largest mine engineering companies in the world. And they're doing the subsurface scoping for the mine. So effectively what that means is that they're looking at how much CapEx it's going to cost us to build the mine in the subsurface. They're looking at the coordinates of where we're going to start accessing the mineralized body. Obviously, we want to access it at the highest grade area first, or take the lowest hanging, most juicy fruit that we can get our hands on in the early stages. So they're scoping out where we attack the ore body in terms of mining in the early stages. They're looking at the mine methodology that we're going to be using. First pass right now is that we're going to be using traditional cut and fill mining techniques that were typical and are typical of the gold mining business for vein-hosted high-grade gold deposits. That's the same technique that we plan to use in this deposit. And keep in mind, again, Jeb, that the product that we're after here is, the heavy rare earths are amongst the most valuable and sought-after metals in the world outside of the precious metals group. So when we liken the technique to mining, gold mining, it's a very apt analogy. So Stantec's looking at that. They're also looking at the positioning of our adits and our declines and our conveyor system and so forth. We're expecting being able to put that Stantec report out to the market hopefully within the next 4 to 6 weeks. So that's on the very, very near-term horizon for us, and I think it's an exciting thing that people can go through and actually see how we intend to mine this thing. Another thing that Ken Collison is working on is our surface mine scoping studies. So whereas Stantec is looking at the subsurface, the surface scoping is being done by a company called Wardrop Engineering. They're looking at where we're going to put our crushing and grinding facilities for the mine, where our mill is going to be located, where our circuit for XRT sorting and ore sorting is going to be, positioning of our leaching facilities, and location of even our ore staging area. So, where we load the ore onto deep water barge and ship it out, they're going to be looking at issues like that. And that's all going through a company by the name of Wardrop, which is a very large and reputable outfit. And Wardrop, by the way, too, is the company that's doing our PEA. And I'll get to the PEA in a few seconds here, but two other things I want to talk about before we get to the PEA is a couple more near-term drivers as we move towards the PEA, the first of which is our ore sorting. We actually came out with a press release on this not too long ago that we were one of the few, if not the first, companies in the world to look at this technology called XRT, or X-ray technology, for the sorting of rare earth elements, and it's just been really, really effective when it comes to Bocan ore. And so what we've done is we sent a bulk sample, a 2 to 3 ton bulk sample, to a company called Commodus Ultrasort in Germany. And they're in the process of confirming that the bench scale work that we did, 4 and 5 months ago, that we put out in our previous release on sorting, that those results can be replicated on a larger bulk scale. And obviously, I can't reveal any of those results as of yet, but I can tell you that those results are coming out in the very, very near term, possibly within the next 4 weeks. So we've already talked about, a couple of press releases. Obviously, the Stantec report, which is due within the next 4 to 6 weeks. The Commodus report for the sorting, that's due within the next 4 to 6 weeks. And the final element we should look at as we move towards the PEA is our metallurgy. We've contracted with a company by the name of Hazen Research of Denver, Colorado. This is something else that Ken Collison is moving ahead very quickly. They're looking at the physical beneficiation of the ore. There's 2 or 3 different methodologies you can use that are for rare earth separation and physical separation, and there's flotation, which obviously involves having the minimized particles of mineralization float to the top of a liquid solution. There's such a thing as gravity separation, which is effectively the opposite of that, where you try to have your mineralization sink to the bottom of a solution. And the final method that's very popular is known as magnetics, where you run your ore under a very high-powered magnet and effectively try to extract the metals in that methodology. So Ken has us in the final strokes of looking at those 2 or 3 methodologies through Hazen, and we expect coming out with those results within the next 6 to 8 weeks. I'll say 6 to 8 weeks for that press release. So effectively what I'm saying is that we have a real stream of press releases that are coming out, really, really strong press releases as we drive towards a PEA. And so finally, and that was the point of your question, is what has Ken done to advance us towards the PEA? Well, he's done all of the above, and he's also contracted with Wardrope Engineering to deliver the PEA. Our expectation is to deliver this document, the preliminary economic assessment, within the next 3 months, and possibly sooner. And the good news for your listeners and for our shareholders and others who are interested is that the PEA, the intent of it, is to establish the economic ability of the mine, the propensity of the mine to go into production and make money. So it's just really a groundswell event when we come out with that, and that will be within the next 3 months. So a lot to look forward to, and Ken Collison is the guy who's driving that ship ahead.